Hello YouTube world, Pretend Farmer here. Not a real farmer, just pretending. Special shout out to Danielle for hooking us up with this incubator here. So let's say you got yourself an incubator that looks like this, and it comes with a great big fat instruction manual. Well, nobody really wants to sit around and read that when you buy an incubator. You want to fill it up with eggs and start incubating as soon as possible. The purpose of this video is going to be to bypass the instructions, and I'm going to show you in as few words as possible exactly how you need to get this thing up and running so that you can start incubating your eggs without having to read anything. Because here on the Pretend Farm, we don't like to read. And this is a very common incubator. These are sold at Tractor Supply. You can find them on the internet. So I have a feeling this video is going to really benefit a whole lot of people. Let's get into it.
So what we're dealing with here is the Farm Innovators Model 2250 incubator. Now the incubator itself looks like this. All it is a big styrofoam shell with a plastic grid in it. I'll go ahead and pop that plastic grid out so you can see what the inside of this thing looks like. So for starters, what you're going to do is fill up this main reservoir here, the bigger one, with about a half a cup of water, and that'll get you started. Then you're going to take this egg turner that's sold separately, and you're going to take it, and you see how the corner's notched out there? Well, if you look, there's a little motor on the end of this thing that makes it turn the eggs. Put two and two together, this thing should sit comfortably right in that little cutout in the styrofoam. And it's even got a special little canal over there for the cord to set in. It should end up looking like that. Now the eggs are supposed to be placed into the tray with the pointy end down. If you look at the egg closely, one end is a little bit rounder, the other end is kind of more cone-shaped. This is not a huge deal, but you're supposed to have better results if you put the pointed end facing down. So after you've filled it up with as many eggs as you want to incubate, you just plop the lid on. Very easy. Then you're ready to plug it in and get started. So here's what you're going to see when you first plug this thing in. You're going to have a flashing red light at the top. Then there'll be the temperature. You'll have a day counter. And then the humidity. The instructions on the front of the control will basically walk you right through it. You're going to press the mode button for 3 seconds and hold it. Then your temperature will flash. 100.5 degrees is what we're shooting for when we're incubating chicken eggs. You press it again, and that's your day counter. Anybody want to guess? We're going to need to incubate these eggs for 21 days. And once you get that, you just simply press the mode button again, and you are all set. From here, you'll be able to watch and see the temperature climb. The number that's reading up there is the actual temperature inside the incubator. And then your humidity should be running up in the 50s whenever this thing settles out. Here's how I set mine up. I got a extension cord with a splitter that I could plug the turner and the incubator into. And I just tucked this thing away in a corner of the room full of eggs. Now this does need to be in a somewhat climate-controlled environment. You can't put it out in the garage where it's 20 degrees. It needs to be between, I think, 65 and 70 couple degrees for this thing to be able to do what it needs to do. And there's roughly how it should be running. We're maintaining 105 degrees, 50 couple percent humidity, and there's the cat. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do here. You got to keep them away from it. Now, periodically, you'll see that red light up top cut on and then cut off. That's just to show you that the heating element is actively heating. And it's basically cutting on and off to temper the air to the temperature setting that you've selected. So that's normal operation. I've personally never seen a reason to remove either of the two red vent plugs. Now, about every 2 to 3 days, you'll need to add more water to this thing. And typically, I would just pop the lid off like this, and I'd pour it in that little gap over there on the left-hand side. Right there. Now, anytime you pop the lid on this thing, that red light's going to flash rapidly because that's a low temperature alarm. That's because you've had the lid off and the temperature sensor has been sensing your room temperature and not what's in the incubator. This is no reason to panic. It's climbing, as you can see, and it'll settle right back out where it needs to be. Now, when you get down to the last 3 days of incubation, that's what they call lockdown mode. At that point, you'll go ahead and take the egg turner out. You'll put the eggs flat on the grate, and you will increase the humidity to about 60-70%, somewhere up in there. Basically, you're just going to add a lot more water to it, fill both of those canals up with water, and good to go.